All right, we're rolling on how to make cream of potato soup. Cream of potato soup, which has the ring that people love. There's something about cream of potato that they kind of like the sound of. There's something homey and gutsy and stick to the ribby about the idea of cream of potato soup. And I think most people in general have had a fairly good experience of such a soup. After they eat this one that you make, they're going to have the best potato soup experience they've ever had. This soup is so good that it's marvelous. Let's put it like that. And we're going to begin this process by taking the rendered bacon and bacon fat, which are in your ingredient list, and we're going to put them into the soup pot. And we're going to crank it up, and we're going to put the celery and onions that are in the ingredient list in here to cook. And we're going to put a little bit of dried leaf thyme over this. And we're going to put a pinch of salt and pepper over this. And after that's cooked, 3/4 of the way cooked, give or take. I'll show you what's inside that pot now. This is celery, onions, carrots, bacon, a little bit of thyme, some salt and pepper. Now we're going to time-elapse this particular lesson for about 5 to 7 minutes while this cooks. When we come back, which will be immediately, we'll add the sliced Idaho potatoes. I have about 4 or 5 here, medium size, with the skin on, which is very important. And we're going to add garlic, and we're going to add stock, and we're going to let it simmer until it gets tender enough to puree. Then we're going to take it off the stove, puree it, and finish it. We're going to put a little butter, a little cream in it. In this particular case, we're going to garnish the soup with blanched diced potato and serve it with sour cream and chopped scallions on top. And it's a nice soup. It tastes great. So we'll be back immediately in about 5 to 7 minutes while the celery and onions saute in the bacon and bacon fat. Okay? All right, we're back after about 7, 6, 8 minutes of sauteing the veg for the cream of potato soup, which is the celery and the onions with a little bit of thyme, dried leaf thyme, in bacon and bacon fat with a little bit of salt and pepper. And this is about 3/4 of the way cooked, and that's perfect. Now we'll add the garlic in accordance to the ingredient list. And we will add the sliced Idaho potatoes. I have about 4 or 5 medium-sized potatoes here with the peelings on. Very important. You want that flavor of the peelings in there. Okay, and we're going to cover that with chicken stock. Trying not to burn the house down in the process. And we're going to let that simmer until this is all pureeable. We're going to use our portable blender stick to puree this. We'll come back after I time-elapse this cooking process, which should be about 20 minutes, give or take. I'll tell you the exact time, how long it took for this to get tender enough to puree when we come back. And then we will butter and cream and finish and garnish the soup. And meanwhile, one of the things we're going to add to the soup later when we put it in the bowl is diced blanched potatoes, so that when you're eating the soup, you have little potatoes. So I have some diced potatoes with the skin on also here and some boiling water. And we're going to throw them in there. It's fairly important that you keep your potatoes in the water right up until the time you cook them so they don't oxidize and start changing colors on you, because you'll never be able to retain that color, the original whiteness. It doesn't come back because you boil them. So we'll blanch those until they're tender enough to eat, and then we're going to shock them in some ice water. We'll do that during the time of this sauteing. And I'll be back immediately, which is probably going to be in about 20 minutes or so, give or take. All right? All right, we are rolling, and we are completing the cream of potato soup. And it has been cooking, the potatoes that is, in chicken stock with the bacon, onions, and celery, and a little bit of dried leaf thyme. And it has been cooking for about 20 minutes only. That's all it needed, because the potatoes were sliced thin, and now they're completely pureeable. So we're going to take this mixture, and we're going to put it into a container that's more suitable for pureeing the soup so that the right amount of turbot can be had inside that container. And we should be able to just finish the soup right inside this container at the same time. So we're going to hit it with the zapper here, as I call it, and let's get her pureed first. Again, this is a soup that does not call for a specific thickening agent added to it in any part of the ingredient list because the potatoes and the potato starch thickens the soup when you puree it. Okay, we're going to give it a taste real quick, and then we're going to do what I call your basic finishing process with this, okay? This soup is good. I'm not going to add any salt to it until I get near the very end of it. We're going to add a couple ounces of whole unsalted butter per quart of soup here. We got a couple of quarts of soup, so mix that in. And over here I have a couple of cups of cream that I reduced down to the consistency of the sauce because we don't want to thin the soup out, We don't want to thin the soup out when we're finishing it with cream that isn't reduced. So we reduced it so it's kind of thick. And we'll just scrape that in there. And we'll zap that right in there with the butter. This would certainly be the final component that would have this be cream of potatoes. Looks good too. This basic bacon, onion, celery, bacon fat flavor. It does everything this soup needs to do. A little bit of butter and cream at the end. Now it needs a little bit of salt. And it needs a little bit of pepper. We're going to put just a pinch of sugar in here to mellow it. We're not trying to sweeten it, of course. And we'll try that again. This soup is good just the way it is. I'm not going to add anything else to it. The only thing I'm going to add to this soup now are the garnishes that we're going to use to serve in the bowl with it. They would be, of course, the diced potatoes that we blanched prior to time-elapsing this to this stage. We shocked those in boiling water and cooked until they were tender enough to eat, and then shocked them in cold ice water. And we'll mix that in. So we got a little chunks of potato inside the soup when we're done. Good basic process for the cream soups. Doesn't change that much. Butter and cream added at the end of the puree process, assuming there's a puree process, which there is in most cases. Now let's ladle this in. You have bacon crumbles or julienne ham, of course, are also nice additions to this soup for garnish on top. But for today, we're going to use a little bit of sour cream. Right there in the middle. And some chopped green scallion. Or you can put a little bit of chopped parsley on it. The scallion's a little bit better. And there you have a cream potato soup that's guaranteed to make you feel good. This bacon, cream, butter, garlic, chicken stock with the basic essence of potato in it is all it takes to make a great cream potato soup. I hope you enjoyed this one and learn how to make it.